Hello guys, welcome to our first tutorial in object-oriented programming. Hope that you're all doing good. And in this tutorial we're going to use Java. The reason why I use Java is on open source programming language, which is easy to download. Just what we're going to do is just open your browser and then type Java NetBeans and then download the installer. So Java is actually portable, so it is easy for you to download the software. At the same time, it's easy for you to install in your computer. It is not requiring a lot of hardware requirements, and that is one of the advantage of using Java. So in this particular tutorial, I'm going to show you on how to make program using Java NetBeans. Okay, so this is the interface of our Java NetBeans. So assuming that you have already installed your Java program in your computer system, so the interface when you're going to open your computer or your installed program, it looks like this. So it's quite the same with other applications, that in the upper part that is intended for you to manipulate the menu bar, which you can open, you can edit, you can view, and other tools under this particular tabs. So in here, this is where you could see the different files that is created to your Java NetBeans. And here, this is also another navigation, which will allow you to navigate the different methods if you have different methods or classes. So it looks like a directory of your programs. So in here, this is your work area, and this one is the output of your program that is being created in this particular area. So first thing that we're going to do is simply we're going to make a new file for our program. So we'll be creating first our file. Okay, so all you have to do is just simply click this tab, the file, then look for the new project. Okay, and the new project, you could see this one, new project. You're going to have by default that is Java, and then project is Java application. So just leave it as is, and then all you have to do is you're going to click next. Okay, when you click next, then you will be redirected to this one. Okay, you will be redirected to the project name. Okay, so project name is very important. That is referring to the identity of your project. So meaning you're going to have your, it's just like when you're going to create a document, that you're going to have your file name. So that it would be easy for you to trace or to check or to open your file when you're going to manipulate it again, or you're going to edit something in your program. So this is the very important part also that you're going to consider, because your project name is actually your class name, because Java NetBeans will be creating class for you. So it is not necessary that we're going to type our class name, but that is during the configuration of your project. So you have to change that if you want, let's say for example, in this particular situation, I write Java sample, and then after that you click finish. Okay, so click finish. So okay, so example Java sample, and click finish. Okay, so Java sample. So Java sample, this is our package name is quite the same with our class name. So in our first tutorial, I'm talking about the basic unit of encapsulation, which is a class. Okay, a class is the one that is binding the code. So when we talk about binding the code that is being placed inside the container which everything is placed inside, that is for protection purposes. So that's why when you're going to click this one, the block is actually up to the last part. Okay, so this is binding the code together in order for some people who wanted to intervene process inside this main should have to possess inheritance. Okay, no, so meaning before you could do something, you could make some interruption to the process. Make sure that you are known to the class. So this is our class name, Java sample, and this is our main. So we already discussed what is the meaning and the function of these keywords, public, static, void, main, string, args. In a very simple way, this is representing the main, which indicates that if you have started your main, everything will be executed because you have already started your main. Okay, so in here, under your main, you can write anything, any statement you wanted to display. Okay, so main. So first thing that we're going to have is we will be having a method. We will be creating a method. So a method is a block of code which only runs when it is called. Okay, we can pass data known as parameters into a method. So that is a method. So a simple way of making method is we're going to have this one, system.out.println. Alright, so have you noticed that when I type, there are suggestions that will pop out? Okay, suggestions, because the Java NetBeans is actually having an interpreter that it interprets the line of code that you're going to type for you to be guided on what you're going to use in a particular method or a particular part of the code. So you can just simply, when you type the keyword, and just simply select that, and then that will be automatically placed in your statement. So this is one sample of your method, which is system.out.println. Okay, this is our console, which means that the system will have to display, using the output console, will have to display something, and the print line is to print the line of code which is placed inside the parentheses. As we have said that the method ends with a parenthesis or indicates parenthesis, that is a method. So that parenthesis needs to be having a parameter. Okay, so the parameter is that like this. So this is a string parameter which will allow us to create some text to be displayed in our system. Alright, so let's say for example, this is a sample Java program. Alright, so this is a sample Java program. So if we're going to run this one, this text as a string will be displayed in our output. So how are you going to run this one? Is after writing this code, just simply click the play button on top. Okay, this one, just simply tap this button to check your program. Okay, so just click this one, and then we will wait for the program to execute. Okay, so this is now the sample output that is located at the very bottom. This is a sample Java program. So this is our output out of the method system.out.println, which is enclosed in the double quotation, which is the parentheses. So this is just the same concept when you are going to create a program in C++, which you are going to have a double quotation or a code which signifies a string. So anything that is being placed inside the string, that becomes, or placed inside the double quotation, that becomes a string. Okay, so since we're talking about object-oriented programming approach, so we are going to discuss, or we're going to show you, I am going to show you on how to make a program being an object-oriented. Okay, as you all know that an object has a state and behavior. All right, state and behavior. So a state is the identity of a particular object, and the behavior is the actual action of an object. So what is the actual action of an object? So what will the method perform? That is what you call the one. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we will be creating a method. Okay, so let's just delete this one, or just simply make a comment. A comment is actually two vertical lines that indicates that those lines after, or the line of code that is placed after the two vertical lines, that will not be treated, or that will not be treated, because that is already a remarks of the program. So we'll just simply write a comment, and then we will be making a method. Okay, we will be defining our own method. This is also a method which is built-in method. Okay, system.out.println. So we will be creating our own method. So how are we going to make a method? There are two types of, there are two ways, or there are many ways actually. I'm going to teach you on how to create a method using static. Okay. So you'll say static void my method, right? So our method should end, or should have a parenthesis. So in order for you to not be confused with the process or the program in creating a method, we're going to have the blocks after the method. So you're going to have the begin and end block, and then just simply enter. So meaning when you click this one, make sure that there is also an end block highlighted. Okay, in case that in the absence of that block, there might be a problem with your program. So make sure that when you're going to create a method, when you're going to create another classes, then make sure that those objects or those blocks of code should have begin and end. Alright, so let's say for example we're going to output the same line of output using this method. Okay, So we will have system out that print line, then terminator, then double quotation. This is a sample method using static. Okay, static. So system. So you notice that if there are problems with the line of code that you made, the system or the Java itself will have to prompt you, will have to tell you that something is wrong. That is by way of underlining the line of code that has a problem. So that becomes red, and there is a balloon. So when you are going to point that one, you will be guided with what is actually a problem. Okay, expected. It has been said that expected semicolon is a problem. So since this is a statement, it ends with a semicolon, so meaning that is already correct. But then the problem here is this one. Okay, so we have a comma then dot, but then that is already a violation of the rule. In creating a statement in Java, you should have to place that. Okay, so system.out.println, then double quotation. This is a sample method. So bear in mind that everything that is placed inside this double quotation, even if there are problems with the spelling, that is okay, because the programming language is not actually particular with the grammar in English, but the programming languages are particular with the syntax of a particular language. So meaning it's not an issue if you're going to have a sample. Supposedly you are talking about sample, but then that becomes some LE. So that's okay. There is no problem with the line of code. But if in case there is lacking in the parent or in the statement, let's say for example the single quote, that becomes already a problem. Why? Because this is already a violation of the syntax of Java. Okay? It should be a double quotation and then the statements or your remarks, and then end with a double quotation, and make sure that that line should end with a semicolon. Okay, so we are already done with our method. The problem is how are we going to output that in this particular area when we are going to run the program. Okay, so if we're going to try this one, then it is already built successful, meaning it is already running, but then this output is not actually displayed in this particular area, which supposedly we are going to display this output. So how are we going to display this one? So that will be, we are going to call our method inside our main class. Okay, inside our main class. So how are we going to call this? Just simply, to be safe, you are going to write or my method. Alright, my method, then copy this one, then paste it here. Make sure that you end with a semicolon. Okay, my method, because this one is a method name, is our method, and this one, that is a line that is trying to call this method. Okay, so it's just the same concept when we are going to have our class, that when I call somebody inside the class, I'm going to mention the name. Okay, so it's just the same in program. When you want to display or to perform this method, you have to call the method name. Okay, so in this case, my method is the name of the method, and then make sure that you have that particular method name. Okay, so in the case that you misspell the method, then there might be a problem. Okay, there might be a problem because my method has small m and my method here in your actual method is capital letter M. They have the same spelling, but it is treated as different object. Okay, the object is actually should be the same because small m and capital letter M is represented different value in our binary numbers. So bear in mind that all programs, all statement in your program is translated into a binary numbers. Okay, that program, the program that we had in Java NetBeans is more likely English, but it is to be converted first into an object code, which is the binary numbers, to be interpreted by the computer. So that is why it is very much particular with the spelling. Okay, so whatever the method, so that's why I'm trying to tell you that you are going to have, when you call the method, you have to copy, highlight this method, and then paste it under your main to make sure that you call the exact method or the exact object. Okay, so if we're going to run this program, let's try. So this is already the output. So we're trying this sample method using static is found inside this method, which is the static void, and that is separate, or that is placed outside our main. Okay, it is placed outside our main, so meaning when you talk about outside the main, that this one is actually beyond the control of the main. Okay, it is beyond the control of the main. Only that because this method is placed inside the class. Remember that the end block of the class is still after this my method. Okay, this static method. So meaning this static method is still inheriting the property of Java sample. So we're already talking about inheritance, meaning if this particular method inherit the property of this class, so it is okay that the main could call any method inside this class. Okay, if that is static. Alright, so if that is static, so when you use the keyword static void my method, then simply when you call the method, just simply call the method name. Okay, the method name. So that is static. So what about if you are going to display another statement that is found in another method? So simply you are going to create another method after this method. Okay, remember that the coverage of this method is only up to this one. So when you are going to create another method, static void, then method name is new method. Right, new method, and make sure that you have begin and end block. That is for you to place your statement. So just simply copy here, and then place it here, and then you're going to write another statement. Okay, this is another method displaying values when main call it. Alright, so just like that. Then remember that this method is still under the class. Okay, so meaning that's okay. So where's the end of this? So in this case we have already two methods, and then so in order for us to display these strings, and so we are going to address that in our main. So remember that the main is the one that is controlling how are we going to display something in our output, in our views. Okay, so just simply copy this method, copyhin na nato ni siya, and then just paste it here. Static new method. So it is underlining the method name because there are still lacking in the statement. So you are going to have the semicolon here. So in this case, it will display these two lines. Alright, so when we are going to try this program, so this is a sample method using static, and this is another method displaying values when main call, and then keep please try to do some research also in relation to the topic being discussed, the difference between static and void. So thank you very much for watching, and good day, and God bless us all.